Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of theology and philosophy. It's a text by Bediuzzaman Said Nursi called The 28th Word. Now, this piece tackles some of the absolute biggest, most profound questions humans have ever asked about the afterlife. We are going to break down its incredibly logical arguments about the actual nature of eternal paradise. If you have ever wondered how classical theology defends the idea of a deeply physical, tangible hereafter against the idea that it's just some purely spiritual, floating on clouds kind of thing, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Okay, let's just jump right in. We're starting with the absolute foundation of the text's argument, beautifully captured in this quote from the Quran. And give glad tidings to those who believe and act righteously, that theirs shall be gardens beneath which flow rivers, and they shall have therein spouses pure, and shall abide there forever. Notice the intensely physical imagery there? It's talking about gardens, flowing rivers, pure spouses, eating fruits. It sets the stage for a vision of paradise that is not just an abstract state of mind. It is a deeply physical, vibrant, eternal reality. But as we'll see, this very physicality is exactly what sparks the massive philosophical debate we're digging into today.
Because of these incredibly vivid descriptions, skeptics and philosophers over the centuries have actually had a field day. They raised some major criticisms, basically asking, doesn't a physical eternity seem totally logically contradictory? Well, in the 20th Word, Nursi doesn't shy away from these doubts at all. Instead, he uses a dialectic method, a structure of really rigorous questioning and answering to hit those skeptical criticisms head-on. His goal? To prove that a physical hereafter isn't just possible, it's logically necessary.
So that brings us to puzzle 1, the need for a body.
Here is the skeptic's argument laid bare, and honestly, it makes you think. We all know the physical body in this world is, well, faulty. It's unstable, it suffers, it gets sick, it constantly changes. On the flip side, the human spirit is capable of experiencing these incredibly elevated, pure pleasures all on its own. So the question the text asks is, if the spirit has its own elevated pleasures, and that's supposedly enough, why is a physical, bodily resurrection necessary at all? Why drag this heavy, deficient, messy corporeality into a perfectly eternal realm?
Let's look at Resolution 1, the ultimate mirror.
To explain this, the author uses this absolutely fantastic analogy. Think about elements like water, air, and light. They are subtle, they're elevated, and they're pure, but actually, scratch that, they are quite limited in what they can grow or produce by themselves. Now contrast that with Earth, dirt. It's dense, it's dark, and arguably way lower on the totem pole than light or air. But Earth is the source. It's the crucial means for growing all the incredible varieties of divine artifacts, like trees, flowers, and crops. The text argues that just as dense Earth actually rises above the other elements because of what it can produce, the dense human soul and physical body actually rise above other purely spiritual faculties.
So the crucial takeaway here is how the text completely redefines physical existence. Corporeality, having a physical body, is not viewed as a limitation or a burden in this framework. No way. Instead, it's defined as the richest, most comprehensive, and all-embracing mirror for the manifestation of divine attributes or names. The physical body just has this unique capacity to reflect a much wider spectrum of reality than the spirit could ever do alone.
Think about it like this. If we didn't have the physical sense of taste and our tongue acting as a finely tuned scale, we can never weigh, recognize, or actually experience the infinite varieties of food. Our physical senses are the exact instruments required to know and taste these manifestations. All the faculties you need to process infinite varieties of pleasure, they lie specifically in our physical nature, not just the spirit.
Because the maker of the universe wants to make all the treasuries of his mercy known and experienced, the physical realm is just absolutely indispensable. The text describes paradise, the abode of bliss, as this vast pool formed from the flood of the universe, an everlasting storehouse for the crops grown in the arable field of this world. Therefore, the all-wise Maker preserves these fundamental physical elements in eternity. Why? To give those physical tools, your eyes, your tongue, your senses, the infinite pleasures that are totally worthy of the exact duties they performed right here on earth.
Which brings us to puzzle 2, the problem of earthly needs.
This is another highly logical objection from the skeptic. In our current world, biological functions like eating and drinking exist strictly to keep the individual alive, right? And reproduction exists to keep the whole species from going extinct. But in a world of eternity, where there's literally no death and no threat of extinction, there is absolutely no need for these survival mechanisms. So why on earth would they be present?
let alone celebrated as the greatest pleasures in paradise.
And here is Resolution 2, Elevated Pleasures. Consider the reality of the earthly body. Why do we actually die here? The text explains it's basically due to a massive imbalance between what we take in and what we expend. In this world, our bodies are like guest houses, or barracks for lifeless particles which enter, acquire some worthiness, and then leave. This constant turnover dooms the body to eventual extinction. But a heavenly body? That operates like a closed circle, or a machine of perpetual motion. In eternity, the particles remain constant as permanent fixtures. There's no dissolution. The balance is just perfect and it never ever spoils.
So how do eating and drinking actually fit into a body with perfect, perpetual motion? The text breaks it down into these 4 logical steps. Step 1, here on Earth, eating serves the heavy duty of biological survival. Step 2, the delight we feel when we eat a great meal is essentially an immediate wage or reward given to us for doing that biological duty. Step 3, in paradise, the biological need for survival is entirely removed, which brings us to step 4. What is left over? The wage. The earthly appetites are augmented and transformed into an all-embracing, living source of pure pleasure perfectly suited for eternity. The chore of survival is gone, for sure, but the instrument of joy remains.
This profound transformation is anchored by this beautiful quote highlighted in the text, "But indeed, the abode of the hereafter, that is life indeed." Nursi explains that in the hereafter, the light of life is general and all-encompassing. Life isn't just restricted to biological organisms like we know them today. The entire environment is infused with this ultimate, literal manifestation of life.
And this leads to the absolutely surreal and beautiful climax of the whole argument, because the light of life is everywhere. Substances that are inanimate and unconscious in our world become completely living and conscious in the next. Just imagine that for a second. As the text describes, if you tell a tree to bring you such and such a fruit, it will bring it. And if you tell such and such a stone to come, it will come. Like humans and animals here, the trees and stones there will actually understand commands and carry them out. The physical world itself is elevated to a completely unimaginable state of consciousness.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. If the 28th word is right, and the eternal realm is a place where even stones and trees possess consciousness, it forces us to completely rethink the boundless potential of physical matter. Corporeality isn't a temporary cage. It's a profound, eternal mirror capable of limitless life and pleasure. It really sparks a desire to dig deeper into how these classical frameworks view the very fabric of reality, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating text today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.